Hey now, 'tis the season, that Eastery season, that mini egg season. I was chatting with my wife the other day and she asked me why I hadn't tried to make a mini egg sourdough before, so we're gonna fix that right now. So come along for the ride. Now I'm going to make a single loaf of this. I'm going to use 500 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour. I'm not going to use that quite yet though. What I want to do first here with my water is add my other ingredients to it. Now, all of the ingredients that I use, I'm going with a percentage that's a baker's percentage, meaning it's a percentage of this flour. So I just take the weight of the flour, which is 500 grams, multiply it by the percentage I'm going to use, and that tells you how much weight we need of these other ingredients. That way, if a person wanted to make multiple loaves all in a single batch of original dough, it's really easy to do. So I'm starting off here with a 75% hydration, which means I have 375 grams or mils of unfiltered water. To that, I'm going to be adding 1.8%, or in this case, 9 grams of pink sea salt. I want a little sweetness in this bread other than just the mini eggs here. So I'm going with 8% or 40 grams of, this is like a crystallized sort of sugar in the raw type thing, a brown sugar here. I'm going to be adding that in. You could also use just regular brown sugar, dark brown sugar, demerara. You could use golden brown sugar, all kinds of stuff. I'm going with that because that's what I had on hand. And I want a little bit of cocoa in there. Not as much as in some of my chocolate sourdoughs that I do, but I want a little bit in there. It'll color the bread, give it a little bit of cocoa-y flavor, and I think that'll be fun. I'm going with 6% or 30 grams of that. So I'm just going to throw that in here. And especially because I have that raw sugar, that crystallized sugar, I'm going to whisk this a little bit into the water before I add my flour. Alrighty, and now I'm going to be adding this flour. Again, that was 500 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to mix it here by hand. This is going to get a little sticky. You could add the flour and the sugar a little bit later on if you wanted to do a hydration. I know that the flour absorbs the water a little bit better and maybe a little bit differently than when you've got the sugar and salt in the water here. However, this is just going to kind of skip that step. Also, I find that sugar doesn't always absorb really nicely after the flour has been hydrated and after you've made that initial dough. So I want to get that in right off the bat here, and I believe we'll be less likely to have any of that sugar kind of like leaching out almost like a syrup. And there we go. Here's our dough. One of the nice things about using the cocoa in here is you know it's all mixed up when you don't find any pockets of just the white flour. So I'm going to cover this up with some plastic in the bowl after I clean off my hands and let it sit for probably about an hour before I go to add my leaven. So in the spirit of being prepared, I'm going to get my mini eggs ready. I've got 40% or 200 grams of these mini eggs, and I'm just going to put them down on this cutting board here. I've got the cutting board. I've got a little plastic wrap over it, and I'm just going to do this here so I don't have any pieces flying around. And just using a meat tenderizer, I'm going to crack them a little bit. You could also do this with a rolling pin or any sort of utensil that will split them easily. There we are. Now, as you can see, I made an effort just to kind of crack them all, but I'm not absolutely obliterating them. I still want them to be nice little chunks. So I'm just going to get them back into my bowl, and we will wait for the lamination. So after that hour, my leaven is really nice and pillowy. It's ready to add. I'm going to be adding 125 grams, which is a 25% addition. Okay. So now to get this all mixed in, I'm just going to moisten my hands here with some filtered water. I'm going to initially sort of poke it in to that dough, and then using little pinch and folds, just mix it up here for a couple of minutes until it's fully incorporated. And again, because this is a darker dough, it's pretty easy to tell once it's all mixed in because you don't see any more of the much lighter colored leaven. And there we are. All nicely mixed up here, so I'm just going to cover this up and give it about 30 minutes. I'm going to do my first stretch and fold. So I'm just going to get this out of the bowl there. Got most of it out. And ooh, as you can see, this bread here is a little bit firm. That's largely because of that, there we are, because of that cocoa. Kind of makes it a little bit drier. Oh man. whatever. I'll kind of coil fold it just a little bit. Sweet. Okay, there we are. I'm going to leave this in here covered up for another half hour, and then we're going to do our lamination when we get to add our mini eggs. So after that half hour, it is time for the lamination. So I'm just going to take that out. This is going to take me a minute or two here just to stretch this out because this is such an elastic dough right now. Okay, normally when I do a lamination, I like to get it a little bit more spread out than that. However, with this dough, I'm having a hard time getting it to stretch much farther than this. That'll be okay. The trick here is that we're just creating a nice way for us to add some of these extra ingredients here, which in this case would be all of these mini eggs. Again, that's 200 grams of these mini eggs. So girls, let's go put a little, they're very excited. Let's put a strip here in the middle, right? So kind of through here.
Yeah, put it.
Yeah, here. You can each go like this. Awesome. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Okay, just hang tight. Nope, that's enough. Put it back in the bowl. All right. Now we're going to fold over that first third. Gonna give it some love taps. Then we're doing the same thing up on that top part. Okay, that's enough for now. Yeah. This lamination serves a dual purpose of helping distribute these mini eggs here, as well as doing like an extra stretching phase here for the dough. Okay, now just in the middle part of there, girls. No. Right there. Here, just here. Yeah. Like this, in the middle. Just a little bit more. Okay, hold on. Now I'm going to fold it this way. Let's put some right up on the very top. Well, it looks like we might not quite get all of them in there. What are we going to do with any of these little leftover ones? You gonna eat them?
Yeah.
Okay, so we want it with just a tiny bit left over there. Probably should have jammed a little bit more in that first phase. All right, okay, that's enough for now. I'm just going to now kind of roll it a little bit like this. Just sort of seal it up a little bit. We're going to get it back into the bowl, cover it up, and give it 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes, there is a little bit of liquid that's come out. I imagine that's just sugars and stuff from the mini eggs. I'm just going to pop this out here, take a little look at it. It would be really nice to be able to do some sort of a coil fold with this or whatever, just for a little bit of extra strength. However, based on the way that this dough is feeling, I think I'm going to be lucky just to do a bit of a modified one here by just kind of folding things over a little bit. I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do now is just pop it back into the bowl and leave it here. We're going to do a bulk fermentation for probably another couple hours or so until things look like they're properly fermented. So I only went with one of those modified coil folds on this. I left it after that. You can see there's a little bit of liquid here that's just sort of like almost like some syrupy stuff. I believe that's the candy in the mini eggs, kind of coming apart a little bit and making that. So it's going to make this fun. Just a little bit sloppy. Let's get this out here and attempt to do, actually I'm going to flip that. I'm just going to try to do a little bit of a pre-shape here on this. It's a little bit wet, but that's going to be okay. I'm going to let this sit here for about 5 minutes and then it's time for a final shape. Now, I'm going to do a quick final shaping on this. Difficult to do here because it's a little wet on the bottom. However, there we are. Very nice. I'm going to be adding some healthy amount of rice flour to this. I'm worried about it trying to stick. I have my banneton here with the liner in it. Also lots of nice rice flour in there, just so that it'll be able to come out tomorrow morning when I go to bake. And there we are. I'm going to cover this back up with plastic and get it into the fridge overnight. And it is the morning of the bake. I've had my oven preheated at 500 degrees with the cast iron combo cooker in there for an hour. And it is time to get this out of the banneton. Woo, yes. Look at that, it came out beautifully. Going to give this a little scoring pattern here. Once I have this in the oven, I'm going to reduce the temperature down to 440 degrees, and I'm going to give it say 35 minutes at that temperature. We'll see what happens. After 35 minutes, I've just gone ahead and removed that cover. I'm going to take the bread and pop it off of the cast iron here, put it directly on the grate, and that should help prevent excessive scorching. I'm going to turn the temperature down to 430 degrees and give it around 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Let's pop this out. Ooh, beautiful. Let's get it off the parchment paper. And while we're still hot here, I've got this glaze. This is an icing sugar glaze. It was a 4-to-1 icing sugar to water ratio. And I'm just going to use this brush and coat the outside, because I guess we didn't have enough sugar in this already. There we go. And now I crushed up some extra mini eggs here. And now we get to play the fun game of see how many of them actually stick. The ones that fall off here are going to just be on this parchment paper below, which means that I get to eat them afterwards. We'll just decorate it like this, and then after it cools, we'll see how much is stuck on. Well, since I've decided we've already crossed the line here from bread into dessert, I just made a slightly thinner glaze, and I'm just going to drizzle some of that over top here to hopefully help secure some of those mini eggs just a little bit more. There we go. Who's excited for some bread?
Me!
Yeah?
No, me.
Let's do this. All right, we're going to slice into it. We'll see how it holds up here. Oh, we're losing a bit of the... We lost a mini egg! Oh no! Whoop. Okay, but let's see what's going on here. Interesting. Not as much color as I was hoping. I think most of the color off of those shells just sort of melted out as candy syrup into the bread. What do you think? Should we try it out? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Let's do it. We're going to get a little slice here. So while this might be lacking the color of the mini egg candy on the inside of the bread, with that glaze and the crumbled mini eggs on the outside, you're definitely getting the idea of what this bread is all about. It's super delicious, great for kids or that friend or family member with a sweet tooth. Really great idea to bring over to somebody around the Easter holidays. Super, super fun. All right, girls, how does it taste?
Amazing.
Amazing?
And
What does it taste like?
mini eggs.
Mini eggs?
Chocolate.
Chocolate?
And chocolate.
Yeah? Is that a fun little Easter bread? Yeah? Can we take it to 11? Mm-hmm. Fantastic.